done their wealth dynamics profile? Okay, who here doesn't know about wealth dynamics at all? Okay, so there's a few of you. Don't worry, by the end of the evening or tomorrow, you'll get a test, because by just being here tonight, we're going to give you a health dynamics test, which will link your wealth dynamics, and you'll find out all about that as well. Who here has done their health dynamics test? Oh, so a few of you as well. Okay, great. Well, by the end of it, you're going to have more of an insight anyway. So, first of all, what we're going to do is go a little bit of, hopefully this is working. I might just, maybe you need to learn how to use technology. Benny, can you help me?
I can.
Thanks.
You continue talking.
Okay, so we're going to start from a little bit of understanding, okay, that's good. What is work-life and balance, right? So the fact is, a lot of people are going into organizations, they're talking about, I'm just doing too much. I want my work-life balance. Who here's said that like many times? Like, my lifestyle is just a bit too fast. Just being here in London, I was like, oh my God, I got off the plane and I'm catching the tube by myself for the first time, which was pretty amazing. Someone said, you just get off and then you do this and you catch this and you'll be there. And I was like, but then everyone is just like on this sort of treadmill here, right? And then I said to Luca, how do I get to the event? Well, you go catch this tube and you do this and it was at Paddington Station. Everyone's just pulling, right? So I was like, you guys, compared to Australia, it's like fast-paced here, right? Australia, everyone's a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more catch, maybe sometimes a little bit too catch, right? It's here, everyone's on their phone, they're doing this, 100 things, and travel is not a big deal. Like, to travel 2 hours, someone travel quite, for me to travel quite away to here, it's not a big deal. So what is your work-life balance, right? Who here thinks that they've got that sorted? Okay, student, like just finished, going into first, she's like studying, right? So what is health then? What is health?
The absence of disease.
The absence of disease. What else?
Being content and happy.
Being content and happy, yeah. What is health? What do you think?
Your body working really, really well and keeping you fit and with lots of energy.
Energy
Okay.
for me.
Energy for you. What else? What is it?
Body and spirit, it's the whole lot.
Body, mind, and spirit. Okay. Sometimes at these events, people say not being dead, right? So, what do you think? What is it for you? What is health? Anyone else?
It's total well-being for me.
Total well-being. Okay.
The slowest possible entropy.
Right. Okay. That's very deep.
And everyone is talking about the solution, but what about the theory of health?
The theory of health. It's getting deeper. Health is a dynamic expression of life, right? So Sri, he's a meditation teacher. I don't know if anyone knows Sri. He's from the Art of Living, and he has they did a conference just recently, and there were 5 million people at this conference, right? And they were all doing meditation, and the field was actually the stage was like 3 football fields big. This guy has got all the peace awards for all these different things. All the people come around and politicians, and he takes over that whole interaction with all these people in argument, whatever. But he says health is a dynamic expression of life. When I read this quote, I went, oh, we've done health dynamics. Well, that's really cool. Dynamic expression of life. So when you have health and you're not dynamically expressing yourself, then you don't have health, right? So if you're sort of sitting back going, I'm not doing what I want to do, or my body's not operating how I want to, and the thing about health dynamics and what we'll teach, tonight and what you'll end with, is you'll find out that everybody is unique. Nobody has the same path, right? So this person can't follow this, and this person can't follow this diet, but what have we got out there? We've got an internet crazy world full of so many options, and then people are following this fad, and let's do paleo, and let's do vegan, and let's do this, and it's like so many things in your head, right? It's like, what do I do? When you simplify it and actually go back to actually what is going on with your body, and then as soon as you see, I always say to my clients this is what we call a neurostrategy framework, right? So life is A, it's awesome, it can't be any better, right? Or B is like, I know something is wrong, but I don't really know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. I feel like I could fall off the cliff, right? C is like I'm falling off the cliff and I'm falling down and I'm falling down fast, right? D is like I'm in the cliff. I'm down on the cliff, I'm in the trench, and I feel like I can't get out. Who's been in D before? Okay, because lots of times it's not a bad thing, we've all been there, right? It's like, oh my God, how do I get out? But we work our way, we crawl our way out, okay? And then it's like F is like, whew, life is awesome. It's I'm back, I'm all good now, everything is good. Or there's G, which is I haven't quite been here before, but I'm learning a new strategy to get there. And H is what we call a compelling future. Is something you're aiming for. I was just talking to Glenn at the back, and he was saying to me, I really want to do something with you, but I'm not sure if I can commit, right? Sorry to call you out. So it's a compelling future. I want to do something for you, with you, but I'm not sure, because I think I might. What do you think? I think I might fail. Because failing is what feels the most pain. So I won't try to do something because
How
it might.
interactive do you want it?
The very interactive.
As you did that and got to B, I thought, but life could be better.
Yes.
And inevitably, whenever you have expressions like that, change means you're going to lose something in the meantime.
Exactly.
Hence your trough.
Which is like this fear, yeah? Right? And the fear of failure. And what is actually the biggest thing that people don't make some change is for the fear of failure, more than anything else, right? Because I'm scared of not succeeding, I'm scared of not failing. So why do kids just go and do stuff?
No fear.
No fear. Because, oh yeah, we'll go walk on that or not do that until mummy says or daddy says, don't, you'll fall. Then the child falls. Because now they have in their head that I could fall. Before they were cool, they were just walking across and I was all good, right? So the biggest thing also, we become, some of you, I don't know all of you, but we've got a generation of helicopter parents. So we're helicoptering, protecting all these kids as opposed to really helping them to really make a big deal, right, and make some changes. So if we were at H, we're compelling future, this is what we call new identity. So what is your identity, right? And what is your identity for? And that can change every time. So, you know, it can change like today, tomorrow. If you don't have a compelling future, then you've got nothing to aim for. Some people it might be weight loss. Some people it might be, I want to sleep better. Some people like, oh, I want to get rid of the back problem. Or some people might be, I want to be fitter. I want to be able to run 5K or 10K. Some people might be, I want to get rid of that skin condition. Like these are all more on a health level, right? Some people might be, I want that next job, but I just don't have the energy, or I don't want to study, or I don't want to do this, and I don't want to do that. There's all these things going on in your head, right? Which is stopping you from achieving. So what happens is we run what we call this crazy figure eight, which is feel good, feel bad, feel good, feel bad, feel good, feel bad. Right? We just keep running and running and running and running. And sometimes we come out of it. But what's really hard is people here are what we call RX means treatment, right? People are here in symptom mode, right? Where they're running this, they're running the same thing, they put on 5K, they lose it, they get rid of this, they stop drinking coffee, they stop drinking alcohol. I met a guy on the plane coming across, and he was really funny actually. He was a business strategist. I thought it was really weird that I was coming to this, and I'm talking to this business strategist, and I was asking, how did you get into what you do? He said, it's a really funny story actually. I was 13, I was a dropout, my father told me I was nothing, and so I went to the Navy. So he became in the Navy, and then he got into this, and then he started like a football team, and then he went into entrepreneurship. Now he's a business strategist for Disney and all these big companies, right? And so then I was talking to him about health. He goes, oh, and then he asked me what I did, and I told him about health dynamics. He said, oh, we'll talk to you about that because we want that extra edge for our clients inside the company. And then I was talking to him about body types and different things, and I was talking to him about wine and about how alcohol affects your liver, and about his body type was being bitter, and we'll go to more of that later on. I get this email from him when I landed, because I always say to my clients, even if you drink alcohol, right, make sure you drink the best. Because the fact is, if you drink the rubbish, it's more dangerous for your system, right? And you'll drink less because you'll savour it. So he sends me this email going, I will remember you when I drink alcohol that I always have to be plus $50 bottle. And I thought he's already shifted his identity just by thinking of, I'm going to get out of that. So he said to me, one of the biggest problems is he drinks 27 units of alcohol a week. And so he classes himself as a bit of an alcoholic, right? So when you're looking at this part here, what do you think from F to H would mean? What's this? F to H, what would that mean? If this is symptom mode and you're running this feel good, feel bad, what would F to H mean?
Feeling good.
Feeling good, more specific.
Change of mindset.
Change of mindset, yeah,
Yeah.
more specific.
It's the higher levels of health, basically.
Higher levels of health,
And well-being and mindset. And
well-being mindset.
Mind and spirit.
What else?
Practice.
Practice.
Reprogramming. Awareness.
Uh-huh.
Awareness.
Awareness, yeah. So this here is recondition, right? So if you're looking at, anyone knows conscious competence, unconscious competence, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that you're all familiar with that. Unconscious competence is I don't know what I don't know. Sorry, unconscious incompetence is I don't know what I don't know. Conscious incompetence is now I know what I don't know. So some of you didn't even come and you knew wealth dynamics. By the time you end, you're going to know wealth dynamics. By the time you end, you're going to know health dynamics. And you're also going to know a lot of each other as well, right? So you now know what you don't know. Conscious competence is actually you have to put in what?
Practice.
Practice,
What?
some
Study.
study. Everyone's going down the education model. Some what?
Action.
Action, some effort. Conscious competence actually means I've got to put in some effort. So it becomes what? Unconscious competence. It's like I ride a bike, I fall off. I ride a bike, I fall off. I ride a bike, I fall off, right? And so people go, oh, I want to do your program, but I'm scared I'm going to fall off. Right. So this here will actually take effort. Right? If you don't put the effort in, it's gone old identity, new identity. After a while, the old identity disappears. It moves into the background. Because the new identity of, oh, I get up, some of my clients who I've worked with, they're like, no way am I going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, Joe, that's not going to happen. I go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's not going to happen. We paid them back, right? All of a sudden they're in bed by 10, which is a better time because your liver's detoxifying, by the way. Between 10 and 2, if you want your liver to heal, be in bed by 10, right? And your liver's detoxifying. Danny's like, oh my God, I'm not doing that. So, and then they actually condition that in. And all of a sudden they have what we call a new identity. So knowing that, looking at the different body types. We have in Ayurveda 3 different body types. Men, I'm sorry, pictures of women. But you can't find pictures, they don't care. This is awkward. So you have 3 different body types. So they're in health dynamics, we actually have them in 10 because when you combine them, there's actually 10 combinations. So you are one of 80 combinations when you bring your mind type and your body type together, right? So if I was to ask you a question, what is bugging you about your health, energy, vitality, right now that you would like to solve? So take a moment, talk to the person next to you, and find out what is it specifically you would love to get rid of. If you're perfect, that's fine, right? He's perfect in the back. I'm going to pick on him tonight. But, so just talk to the person next to you. What if you could, in the next 3 months, get rid of something and you knew there was a formula? What is it that you would like to get rid of and actually put some effort into and make the change? Okay, take a few minutes.
Yeah, you're both there. Even though I'm not the only person, but I get tired. I do my It's my job as well. My job is I have to get there after leave at 6:15. Yeah. It's I'm used to it now. No. Like days off. Do like
Have you changed? Yeah? So you have problems? Swap, make sure you swap. Okay. Finish up before you try to solve each other's problems and fix it all. So who here wants to share? Who's going, this is what I'd like to get, like, because once you declare it, guess what happens? It's out there, right? So who here knows, because, you know, we'll maybe use some of these examples, right? So you might get some great benefit from it tonight. Who wants to share? What is it that they would like to solve or get rid of?
Yeah, we should. It's about the energy levels. So I get peaks of high energy levels, like low.
Right.
So it's more about manage my energy, so I
Okay.
get more stable. So then I can focus more directly my energy.
Okay. So looking at the energy level, making sure it's going up or staying stable and not peaking and dropping at certain times of the day, right?
Those drops really. It's more about phases of the
Okay.
month. It's very
Okay.
With the month
Different cycles.
Yeah, and the moon cycles and
Mhm.
whatever is going in my
Okay.
energy
So
field.
hormonal imbalance is
Yeah.
happening around
Could
that,
be,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else? A drop of energy? Yeah.
So, since 2015, I had a lot of problems occur. So I've got problems in the soles of my feet,
Uh-huh.
my knees, my lower back,
Okay.
and extra weight.
Okay.
So I've been, there's a project I've been working on since then, but I haven't
okay.
got to the bottom of it. So
Right.
I'd like to get to the bottom of those.
So feet pain, knee pain, back pain,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So who here suffers from pain? Is that a common thing? Because I see that a lot in
Who
clinic,
suffer?
right? Suffers from pain, right? Because when you're actually suffering from pain, there's an imbalance, and I'll explain a little bit more.
Mm.
Anyone else?
My diet yo-yos. I have good food and I crave some of the bad foods.
Okay, diet yo-yos. Who does that? Diet yo-yo? Okay, we're all sort of guilty of that sometimes, right? Yeah. And what specifically would you crave, sweet or savoury?
Well, I got back onto a lot of dairy.
Dairy.
I love dairy.
Okay. It's confession time,
It's confession
right?
time.
Who else? Who else wants to share? Yep. Oh,
It's the committing the time to doing it.
committing the time.
And because you know that it's worth it, you know
Okay.
that you should do it. And
Okay.
my wife nags me that I don't do it.
Okay.
But I sit at the desk for 8 hours and not commit the time to go out and go for a run or go for a cycle or go for a
Okay.
swim. And that's just the start. And then once you do it, you feel better for doing it and you can lose some weight. And when you've got weight on, then you get pain because your back aches, your knees ache, your things ache. So
Yeah. And so you would find it hard to find the time, right?
I'll sit at the desk for 8-10 hours a day and not go out and do it.
Okay. Do you have kids?
Yeah, they're grown kids.
How old are they?
27, 26, 25 and 22.
Okay, so say that when they boy, girl, or
2 boys and a girl.
2 boys and a girl, which one's your favourite?
I always tell my daughter she's my favourite daughter, and my eldest son is my favourite.
So both your favourite. Okay, so let's say your little girl, because you said her first. So let's say she's 3, right? When she was 3, you remember when she was 3, right? And let's say she was stuck over, which is the most busiest road here in London?
More roads, that's
Let's try the freeway, right? We've got a 4-6-lane freeway. She's over the other side of the freeway, right? It's peak hour traffic, it's going fast, it's going speedy, right? And she's crying out for you to come to the other side. Can you get to her?
You'd have no hesitation to work out, I do.
Okay, so how would you get to her? What would be your method?
Dodge the way through the traffic.
Okay, well you might get killed.
Use the
Take that
overpass.
risk, wouldn't you?
Overpass? Yeah, what
Find an
else?
alternative, yeah.
Alternative, what else? What other options would there be?
Traffic lights.
Traffic lights, what else?
Just stop the traffic.
Just stop the traffic, just do anything to stop the traffic. What else?
Screaming stuff.
Okay, what else? Think more laterally.
Put spikes in the road.
Okay. Who's got cell phones? Police, ambulance, right, fire, something, right? Would you find a way to get her? So you see how quickly he came up with some options, right? This is not only for him, by the way. He had a bigger compelling future. He had a bigger reason. Just changing to get away from your desk is not a big enough reason, right? Because as soon as you decide a big enough reason, something moves you to say, hey, listen, don't wait for the heart attack. Don't wait for something to go majorly longer. I should get myself into gear. Like, find a compelling future which is so compelled for you to actually do something, right? It might be, you know, to walk your daughter down the aisle and be fit and healthy, whatever it is, right? There'll be something that'll compel you to do something. Because it doesn't actually compel you just sitting there going, I know I should do this. I know I shouldn't sit there for 8 or 10 hours. There's nothing compelling in that, right? And then as soon as it shifts, then there's an identity shift, right? It's like, it's weird, you'll be out at Christmas Day still exercising. They're going, what happened to him? There was a guy who came to the retreat, it was a couple of years ago, and I don't know if you were in that one, Denny, when I was speaking. There was a guy sort of sitting in Vilna's position, and he raised his hand. It was in one of these things, what would you like to get rid of? He said, if you could get rid of me being lazy bones, I'm in whatever you're doing, right? And I said, and then I don't even know where it came from, but I tapped him on the tummy. I said, well, you want to get rid of this? And Roger said to me, how can you can't do that when you're presenting. I said, I don't know, I just did it, right? And he just wanted to do anything to shift that. He was stuck. So anyway, he came to our retreat and did different things, but now he does yoga, he does exercise, he eats well. But something shifted because he made a decision to say, that's what I want. That's my compelling future. I don't want that anymore, right? He had a more serious, like, pituitary gland problem. So we had to fix the pituitary gland, which was actually causing his hormonal imbalance. And then that actually fixed him from being so lazy, right? So I'm sad for you, but that's for everybody, right? Who else? What else do you want? So we've got energy, we've got joy and pain, we've got I want to do something, I want to get moving. Penny.
Yeah, I sometimes forget words.
Forget words,
Yeah,
okay?
forget
So
words.
putting
And it's
things
like,
together.
Yeah, it's like everything else is good, but I still forget words. And
Okay.
it's like, I think, oh.
So mental clarity.
mental clarity.
Yeah?
And connections, it's like neural connections.
Yeah, okay. That actually is trained, by the way, and also I'll explain a little bit.
What about when you want to do too many things?
When you want to do
You want to do this conference, you want to do that
Uh-huh.
conference, you want
deciding what you should do.
Yeah.
Focus,
Yes,
right?
prioritize.
Focus, prioritize. Who has that problem? Because guess what? We live in, we'll talk about Vata in a second, we live in a Vata world. So fast paced, I gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do. Even like, how many things do you have in communication devices do you have on your phone? WhatsApp, Messenger, phone, you know, Skype, and da 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 da. It's like, it's all coming at you in rapid rates, right? The child's nervous system now, Deepak Chopra talks about it, is wired very differently to us, right? We weren't wired with that speed of that input, right, where they've actually grown up with it, right? So it's actually causing a lot of nervous system challenges and nervous system stress. And then you feel what? I'm not enough, because I'm not doing enough. Actually, when you do less, it's actually sometimes even better, actually pulling it all back a little bit. And then you become more focused, yeah? What else? 2 more.
What about procrastination?
Procrastination.
Because when you said that, that's what made me think about, you know, you can feel that you're not moving, you're just
Stuck.
yeah,
Stuck.
in limbo.
Yes. Yeah, stuck. Who here's procrastinated before? Just about all of us, right? At some point. We'll talk about that because it's very kapha energy. Kapha energy is very much procrastinating. Means like, oh yeah, I'll do that later, I'll do that later, I'll do that later. Yeah?
I have specific weakness in my sinus.
Weakness in the sinus. Yeah. So who here suffers with sinus issues? Anyone else? Yeah. So sinus issues as well, we'll talk about it in the kapha as well. Sinus issues particularly comes mainly from the gut, and then it actually affects the whole system as well. So we can talk about those different things. I want to have those examples because then when I explain it, then you'll understand it specifically because it'll relate something to you. So whoever did give feedback, if you want to jump in and ask different questions as we go, then don't feel you've missed out, okay? So basically we'll go back to the body types. Just fall asleep, okay. So we have the three different Vata, Pitta and Kapha. So you'll have the Vatas, which is the thinner build. You'll see them around. These are the skinny minis. These are the ones that are moving fast. These are ones that like long, lean arms. They're like constantly hungry all the time, right? They just can't stop eating. You'll see them, and they're just moving all the time. It's like, can you just sit still? You'll see them in the moving theatre. It's like, you know, they just have to move all the time. They get stuff done quickly as well. So sometimes when you'll see a Vata, but then they'll forget what they're doing. They'll be doing stuff and they go, oh, what was I actually doing? Because everything is a little bit spacey. So the Vatas have more air and ether, right? So air is movement and ether is space. We don't call them airheads, but sometimes they can be, right? Because they're off with the fairies. My daughter's, she's a Vata Kapha, so she's off, like, she's constantly off with the fairies. And I'll say, Georgia, focus, concentrate. She goes, Mama, I can't, I'm Vata. And she's a creator as well, right? So she's a creator and a Vata, so it's a double whammy sort of combination. She's definitely off with the fairies, right? So there's different things. So the Vatas also, you'll see they'll have more veins in their body. You'll see they have more longer, you know, face features. They have, every body type has the different features. They have more problems with digestive issues, so they can have more tendency to bloating and constipation for imbalance. But when you meet a Vata, their personality when they're in balance is like enthusiastic and joy. They're like a teacher's delight. They want to answer all the questions, they want to communicate, they want to get involved because they just have excitement, right? They just can't sort of stop. Then you have the Pitta body type. So the Pitta body type is the medium build. You know when they've entered the room because the Pitta demands attention, right? As in like, I've come, this is happening, this is what we're going to be doing, we're going to do this, 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 and this. And if it doesn't go the Pitta's way, right, like they'll go, if it's not my way, it's a highway, right? So it's like, this is how it's going to be. They're very passionate when they're balanced, but when they're imbalanced, what do you think they are? Domineering, angry, frustrated. So you guys even know this stuff already, right? So it's because everything has to be a certain way. They actually have a problem with perfectionism, so everything has to be perfect. If it's not perfect, then sometimes they'll have an identity that it's not enough, right? I'm not doing it well enough. You know, I'm actually working with a client right now in a big law case. I do a lot of neurostrategy work, so a lot of psychology work. And I'm working with a case with one of my corporate partners who's in like dispute with one of his staff members who's brought him up for bullying, right? And he's not a bully, he's just Pitta, right? In the way that he says different things, it's very direct. It's like he doesn't do things fast enough, but the other guy is more Vata, so he's more sensitive. He's, you know, takes his time actually sometimes to do too much because he's in his head too much, right? So it's actually a very big difference between their personalities, and actually they're not working well together, right? And they probably will never work well together because he will never do it fast enough, speed enough, with good. So you'll see all the track changes and he'll say things like, this has been butchered, right? It'll be because he's made way too many changes. So you'll see that. So the Pittas also have like a medium frame. So with women, they have more like an athletic body. So you'll see women and you go, they don't look very womanly, they look more athletic. They're more medium muscle build and they actually, they do more athletics. You'll see a guy who's also Pitta, he's also quite athletic, but you'll see a lot of Pittas in business because they have like a drive that they have to go for something, they have to be goal orientated, where Vata's like, whatever, I don't really care. They just float around and there's no sort of real direction, no sort of real drive. Not that they're not going to succeed. You've got the Vatas of the world, like, you know, even Michael Jackson has got a lot of Vata energy, very creative energy, right? So then you'll have the Kapha body type, which is more the thicker frame, more solid build. People always say Kaphas are fat. Well, they're not fat. They are if they're imbalanced, right? But they have more like heavy structure, heavy bone. If you pick up a Kapha child, they're just heavy and dense, right? So because their bone structure is heavy, their organ structure is more denser, where there's more hollow organs in a Vata, right? And the Pitta, by the way, are too hot, right? They struggle with heat and the Vadas struggle with cold. They're always cold hands and cold feet. And the Pittas are like, get the sheets off me, or don't come near me. I had a client of mine who I was working with them for the last 3 months, and they were having some challenges with like their relationship where he was too hot. She said, go away in the bedroom, go away, you're too hot. And so now we've reduced all his heat. They cuddle now. And she goes, oh, he wants me to cuddle him now. And all this change, that's actually changed the relationship just by changing the imbalance, right? And so the Kapha one is, the Pittas, by the way, will always say, where's the food at the certain times, meal times, they need the food at a certain time. And the Kaphas are like, they don't really want to eat, actually they're not hungry at all, especially for breakfast, but they'll eat anyway because everybody else is eating, right? A Kapha, you'll be in a room and a Kapha will say, oh, do you reckon you could turn off the fan or turn on the aircon? Because a Kapha's like, I don't really need to use my energy, you can do it, right? Because Kapha is more laid back and more relaxed. They're like the gentle warrior, right? So it's very, very different in how they work. They have thicker skin. They have a low metabolism, low digestive fire, so they can put on weight easily. So the Kaphas must exercise, right? They must do something. The Pittas must do things more with water sport, more cooling, and the Vadas need to do more things like yoga and stretching. But you'll see the Vadas all running like marathons and all these crazy things, and they're the ones with osteoarthritis and osteoporosis, which have all the problems.
Who's got the osteoarthritis?
But more Vadas will have more of that as well. So you'll see, who here thinks they're more Vata? Okay, because by the way, you usually have two dominants. So you could put your hands up for both, right? Bit of both, yeah. Who here feels they're more dominantly Pitta? Yeah, so there's going to be more in the room because it's all like. And who here feels they're more Kapha? There's a few, right? And by the way, Kaphas tend to have, we're talking about sinus, tend to have a little bit more of the sinus problems because Kapha has more mucus in the system. So the Vadas are air and ether, the Pittas are fire and water, and the Kaphas are earth and water, which makes mud.
Can you repeat? So Pitta,
fire and water, and Vata is air and ether.
Okay, yeah.
These are elements. So you actually are made up of certain primary elements. We have all of them in our body. So when you're actually born, your mum and dad give you your DNA of your body type. That never changes in your life. So your skinny minis, especially if you're men, you're going to have trouble putting on weight in the gym. So I have them coming to me, can you give me protein drink? You're a Vata. You're a skinny mini. You're never going to be like that. And the Kaphas are like, can you get this muscle off me? Every time I walk into the gym, I just have to touch the dumbbell and muscle pulls on, right? So every different body type has a different unique nature. You're not the same as somebody else and you can't follow the same program as somebody else. So this is why you need to follow your own program. Does that all make sense? Mm-hmm. So when we're looking at the different things, we talked about back pain. Back pain is specifically a Vata problem, and I'm going to go through more of it when we go through like the different stages of disease. But back pain is there's too much air in the body. So we see this a lot when there's a lot of stress. So the system is starting to cause a lot of tension, a lot of air. So we do things like, and you can write this down, but a teaspoon of castor oil at night time before bed is one of the best home remedies to actually move the air out of the body, and the pain just starts to slowly just disappear, right? There are other things that you can do, which is the local stuff, but that's one that you can actually start doing as well. When you're flying on an airplane, right, you calm your air, you've got a lot of air in your head because of the altitude. Castor oil is one of the best things to ground like the system, to get rid of the bloating, get rid of the constipation, get rid of all these different things. But there's home remedies for just about every ailment, right? And there's more deeper herbs and things like that, and dietary stuff that we do. That is very different. So looking at the different body types, ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorph, you might be more familiar with some of those terminologies, right? Because this is coming back. So you'll see the very thin males, thin women. Vata women also put a lot of weight around their abdomen, right? Mm-hmm. Because the fact is it's more like adrenal weight, right? Not necessarily putting on fat because it's still metabolizing fast, but it's more air. So we actually get rid of the air out of the system and the client's tummy goes down. And they're going, oh my God, I've been trying for so long to get that weight off. Calorie doesn't do it. Less of all the broccoli and stuff I'm eating is not doing it. Yes, because it's filling you up with more air, right? The pitters are the more, like we talked about, the more the medium frame, the more athletic build. You see them naturally. You see the sporting soccer, and they're naturally doing all the athletics. And the cuffers are naturally more the healers, the more at helping people, the more connected with people and things like that as well. So this is just some pictures, so you can see how the butters show up. See the different features, so more fine, more long nose, long faces, and you'll see different features. When you answer your questions, by the way, in your health dynamics test, please answer your questions when you're in the balance, not in your imbalance. And it says, have you got a small, medium, or big body? They'll say, and someone who's like carrying weight, but they're butter. They go, yeah, I'm fat. So they come out as a kappa, right? Because they're not answering their normal, natural nature. So they'll answer what we call their imbalance of their nature. So the pitters are like, James Bond. So some of you guys were asking like, that you're more pitter. So you'll see that. I've got one of my clients who's very pitter. I know when he's entered the clinic, because it's like, right, folded neatly, all the clothes, sitting in a certain place, lid comes off, everything is all particular. Right, so you can see everything on the desk is all in a particular way, right, so you can see them. And Oprah Winfrey, Denzel Washington, like these are more cuffers, so they don't age. Cuffers don't age, they're just so beautiful, right, in the way that they're actually working. So looking at a little bit about like your health dynamics test. So when you get your test looks a little bit like this, right? So you'll have a look at, you'll see the one with the triangle. So this is breaking it up into the 10 different body types. So you'll be one of those. This is actually my profile, pitter, kaffa, supporter, right? So you'll be one of the mind types. And I can't go into it tonight because it's too much detail to talk about just the wealth dynamic side. Talk to Luca and Denny because Roger does a whole, and he's back here in September, right? So he does a whole entrepreneur summit on actually really understanding your wealth dynamics profile, so you can find out a lot about that. And when you actually understand that, you actually understand that every different mind type does health differently. So for example, if I've got someone up in that top dynamo area, if I give them too many things to follow, they fail their program. Right? I have to give them one or two things, get them really successful in that, condition that in, that's their identity, and they go amazing, and then it's on to the next thing. Roger's actually a creator profile, and I remember doing his program, and he's like, Joe, this is too complicated. Right, just make it really simple for me, just one or two things, and then he just nails it. Next thing, what's next? One or two things, right? The Lords are still, they like it being complicated. They like lots of analysis, they like lots of detail. Give me all the detail before I make a decision, right? So they want everything. The tempo is more about, I need the plan, I need the long-term plan. See where I'm going, see what specifically I need to do, and then I can actually do it and commit. And the Blaze profile is all about the supporters, so they need to bring someone along. I need to take someone with me. So they won't train or exercise if they don't have a friend. The Lords will just go and do it anyway, right? Dynamos are like, I've got too much going on, I don't want people to complicate it, I'm just going to do it. And the Tempos are like, well, maybe we'll do it. So there's different energy, we'll do different things, right? So depending on your body type, you'll link that in. So understanding which and how that works. We'll get into the nitty-gritty now of actually what happens, and this is what you get on your report, right? So you find out exactly what is your body frame, what is your structure, how do you move, what symptoms of imbalance, like weight gain, nasal congestion. So nasal and sinus congestion for a kapha, right? You may actually have it there, but it's not actually dominant, right? I did a Panchakarma program in May because I was pretty much had been creating health dynamics and I was pretty exhausted. And I was like, I'm really ready to just fall down. And I just had to do something to put myself back together. I was in creative mode and I was completely out of flow. So I was doing all these things to create. And then I was really wrecked. So I went and did like a 3-week program where I did full detoxification. And one of the programs that they did, like they felt my pulse and said, oh, you need to do Vamana. Anyone heard of Vamana? Ah, you know, right? So Vamana is a particular it's illegal in Australia and it's legal in most countries, but in India it's not illegal, right? It's induced vomiting, right? So they give you all this stuff to actually make you particularly vomit up all the mucus in your system and especially in your stomach, right? Because that's where it's sitting. I had no problems. I had no sinus congestion, I had no nothing, but I was starting to get some itchiness on my skin. which was really weird. And every time I got really stressed, I started getting really itchy. And I was like, and I know as an Ayurvedic practitioner, that's mucus in the blood, right? But I had no nasal, no sinus congestion, no nothing. And so they did this vamana, and they give you 20 litres of this licorice water that you have to drink. And as you're drinking it, it comes to a point where you actually start vomiting it up, and then you drink more and you vomit and you drink more. And so it's to get like all of this mucus out of your system. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't think I had anything, but all this stuff sort of come up, and it was deep stuck in the tissue, right? So sometimes some of the things that you got going on, you may actually not even know it's there, right? But it's stuck deep into your tissue. So as you take the first layer, and you go the next layer, and the next layer, and the next layer. So you'll see some of these things, symptoms of imbalance, you go, oh, that's not me. It may not be you, but it may be something you're prone to, right? And it may not something you might have now or never have it, but you may be living with the balance, right? Having a look at how to maximize your energy. We talked about that, how to reduce your stress, how to maintain your weight. Some of the badders come and they want to put on weight, so how do they do that? We had one guy who's looking at doing the next 28-day program. We've got a detox program we run. He said, but I'm really scared because I don't want to lose weight. And I said, well, you will lose 3 kilos at least, minimum, because you will lose that toxicity before we build it up. So I said, you have to be okay with me to do that, so you can actually gain that maintenance and hold that weight properly, because he's not absorbing his nutrients, right? He's depleted in his nutrients. So, and having a look at your health strategies, what works for pitters and what works for kaphas, what works for vadas. There's a particular strategy you should follow. And so when you find that unique strategy, you start putting it into place, right? And it might be one step, one step, one step. Making sense? Any questions so far? Or you're all like just going into the what's going on for me?
Just remind me what the 3-week program was called.
That's Panchakarma. Panchakarma. It's very deep. It's 5 Mahabhutas, which is like the deepest detoxification you can do in Ayurveda. So it's an in-house program. It's done by people who are very skilled, because it's very dangerous if you do it wrong, right? But we do Panchakarma in our practice in the clinic, but again, it has to be very strongly monitored. So yeah, most of the time it's better if you have live-in Panchakarma, because you're going through a fair bit.
It's interesting how some of these strategies occur in other parts of the world with different names, because they do it in the Amazon, don't they? Yeah, all very, very different, yeah.
Any other questions? No, all under control. So how does disease happen?
Imbalance.
Imbalance? Where does it start?
The gut.
The gut. Okay, what specifically about the gut?
Increase in toxicity, right?
Yeah, what's your background?
I'm a naturopath.
Oh, okay, so this is quite basic for you.
Yeah.
So when you look at the gut in Ayurveda, we call this the first stage of disease, right? We call stage 1 in Ayurveda is what we call aggravation, right? Something is being aggravated here. Children are really good at this. What do children say when they're sick? I got a tummy bug, I don't want to eat, or I don't feel well, they go to bed, right? So they do something straight away to say, I don't want that, right? What do we do? That's okay, I'll just eat this and I'll eat that, and yeah, I'll just have this drink and I'll have this. Children usually don't eat, they stop, right? And what do we do as helicopter parents? Sit down, eat. You need to go to school, right? Because their digestion is not coping with the stage of like a virus or some bacteria or some problem going on. So it's trying to digest it by using what, do you think? What is it trying to do? How does it digest it? Some of you know this, but you need to be quiet.
Acid.
Acid, yeah. So some sort of heat is happening in the system. So if we think of our stomach being like a pot, right? You're cooking really beautiful food. So you've got like a pot here. So when you're putting food in, you're actually cooking that food. Now, if you eat too much, right, and you may be a bit of a kapha body type, then you're eating and you're having too much, right? So the digestive fire gets put out. So this fire on the stove is being put out. Or if you're eating very variable, like you're not eating enough, or you're eating way too big spaces, like the fire is going too high. So you'll hear clients saying, oh, I'm too hungry all the time, I'm so hungry, right? Or if you have it where it's like it's all good, it's all feeling good, everything is working fine, it's like when the digestion is actually all perfect, right? So first of all, it starts with an aggravation. What happens after that?
Does it move into your bloodstream?
Close. What happens? What's the second thing? After it aggravates, what happens? If that doesn't get solved here, what was that? Accumulates. So it starts to accumulate. So the toxins, this actually causes toxins. So when you have food here, what we call food that is left over, it's not digested. So it's leftover food. So if you got leftover food in the fridge, what does it end up looking like, smelling like?
Bloody awful.
Would you eat it?
Rarely.
You wouldn't eat it, but you're telling your body to try to digest it, right? So the pot is actually can't digest this food, so it starts to accumulate, and it starts to mix with something called vata, pitta, and kapha. So if it's starting to mix with something called vata, what are the symptoms you're going to get?
Bloating, gas.
Bloating, gas. What else? Now that we've explained the vatas.
Headache.
Headache can be, but more like a
Constipation.
constipation, more like a vague headache, not like a pumping headache, yeah? What else? What other signs could you get?
Fire and water is the next one.
Yeah, but what other signs are you going to get if it's vata? Smeeta, you were talking about it before.
Weight gain, joint pain.
Joint pain and weight gain. Weight gain today is more because of vata aggravation than it is because of kapha aggravation, because it's too much stress. So what do you do when you're stressed? Overeat. Because what does overeating do to your gut? What does it give you?
Constipation.
No, it's more like a hormone. What happens? What changes? Yeah, there's insulin increases, but you get more serotonin in the brain, right? Because we're stressed, so we eat to reduce the stress. And then you get more serotonin and you feel good. Okay, that worked. Okay, I'll do that again. So it becomes your drug, right? So vata aggravation is actually causing more of the weight gain than actually overeating in the sense of eating the wrong food. It's particularly because of how it affects like your whole system, right? So if you have pitta, what signs are you going to get?
Acid reflux.
Acid reflux. What else? Heat. Heat. We talked about it before. Like, overheated, right? What else?
Constipation.
Constipation, yes, but no, it's vata and pitta mixed, right? Because it's the dryness as well as the heat. The heat is drying the stool,
Right.
so it's a different constipation. Yeah? What else? Skin problems. Yeah? Skin definitely comes from too much pitta because there's too much heat in the blood. What else? We talked about it before. Headache. So you'll get like a rise of heat in the head. Eye trouble. You'll get like problems with the eyes, problems, and this is happening a lot now with computers. Too much heat. I don't know if you guys are being on the computer and all of a sudden your eyes, like you can't even focus anymore. It's like really blurry because there's too much heat. Best thing, by the way, not sure how good this is in the UK, but go and walk on green grass because it cools your whole head down really fast, really quickly, and actually gets rid of all that heat. So if you have accumulation in the kapha region, what's that causing? You talked about it before. Yeah. What are you suffering with? No, who is it? No. Is it you?
What about erratic diet?
No, not that. That's more vata, by the way. Erratic diet is more vata. Yeah? You talked about it. Sinus. So mucus. You know the people who have this, like, and I've seen it a lot actually in the UK. There's a cough that happens all the time. Like it's like that, but it's more productive cough, right? And I see it on the tubes, there's all these people coughing and and there's so much smoking in the UK. My God, people are sitting on the cafes with these pipes and it's like, what is it? That's amazing. What else is kapha? Someone talked about it before.
Would they suffer from low energy levels?
Low energy, fatigue, heaviness in the legs, heaviness in the feet, a lethargy, which feels like I can't sort of get going, sleeping in, I can't wake up, grogginess, fogginess, all of that stuff. Who's suffered with some of these, right? Any of those three different ones. Because Vata, Pitta and Kapha imbalance, you will suffer with one of those things. So it's called stage 1, stage 2. Stage 2 is accumulation. What happens next? So toxins are there in the stomach. Fire is actually not working. What do we call the fire? Does anyone know? Agni. Oh my God. Agni in Ayurveda is digestive fire, digestive metabolism. You know when someone's Agni is really good because they even say it in like our program, especially after detox. Your skin is just glowing, it's radiant. That's usually because your Agni is on fire. All the tissue, you have 13 Agnis in your body, but all the tissue is actually digesting properly and digesting the nutrients, so you actually start to glow. And what is this when you have too much toxins in your body? What's that called in Ayurveda? Anyone know? Ama. A bit about Ayurveda. Ama is digestive fire, digestive toxin. So peanut butter is what ama looks like. The tongue coating in the morning is what toxins look like, right? So this toxin is thick and sticky. Now that's riddled through your whole body if it's actually, you're not digesting properly. So number 1 Ayurveda talks about, and Health Dynamics talks about, bring up your digestive fire, which means if you're not hungry, guess what? Don't eat. And just drink like hot water or ginger water or something. Let the food digest properly. Because like today, because I'm only arrived yesterday, I ate breakfast at 9, but then I wasn't really hungry and I just drank like a tea and whatever. And then we sort of got here, I think if I'm not going to eat, like I'm going to be a bit hungry, so I had like a hummus thing upstairs, but wasn't hungry. So listen to your digestive fire. But there's times when I don't, right? What happens when you don't listen to your digestive fire? What are the symptoms? Heaviness. What happens after Christmas dinner? So a lot of people after food, guess what? If you are tired and sleepy after food, you have just actually destroyed your digestive fire. So don't eat until many meals, right? So looking at that. Number 3, what is it? Toxins are here. What happens after that? What's the next stage of disease?
Inflammation.
Inflammation, yes. But what else? How does it go? If it's here in the stomach and it's now mixing with the dosha, mixing with the different vata, pitta, kapha, air, ether, fire and water, right, and earth, what does it do after that? You can't stay here, right? Because what's going to happen? Spreads. Spreading. So it says, get me out of here because if I stay here, I'm going to get really sick. So it starts spreading the toxins and sharing it everywhere all over the body, right? And so then now you're feeling really bad. You go to the doctor possibly. In the UK, by the way, I heard the doctors aren't that great because they don't even want to do any blood tests. So I've had tried to get so many of you get plenty of blood tests, but have you noticed that? And they don't tend to do many blood tests.
Yeah, well, I've not been to the doctor for a long time.
But your clients, right?
Correct, yeah.
Shocking. They won't do thyroid tests or whatever, and vitamin D tests. Like, you know, vitamin D is so important, and I would imagine UK you'd be pretty low in vitamin D, right? Because in Australia we've got high sun but low vitamin D, right? So vitamin D is a metabolic problem, actually not a sun problem, by the way, but it is a bit of both. So it spreads, so it's spreading over the body, so you'll feel things like tiredness in your feet and legs, and you'll just feel lethargic, and it's like this feeling of, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I don't feel good, right? There's something quite wrong, right? What's number 4? Where does it go after that? Spreads everywhere, then what does it do? Localization. So it goes into the local area, right? So it'll go into like your joint structure, right? So it'll start finding little avenues of weakness. I've got a really good example here. When Luca was saying that I was training for the Olympic Games, what sport do you think I was doing?
Darts.
Huh?
Darts.
Darts. I was always like very pitta kapha, so I love sports. I did every sport, softball, netball, anything you can think of. Just wasn't a high jumper or anything like that. So I wanted to get an A in HPE, and I was like, I can't do the running thing, and I can't do the sprints, and like I wasn't like a really good high jumper or long jumper, and I thought, well, I'll do some. We had a hammer thrower at our school as a PE teacher. So I went, oh yeah, I'll give this a go. So I did hammer throwing, right? So hammer throwing is like pretty full on, pretty intense, and I was 95 kilos then, right? And when I was training for the Olympics, we were doing a lot of weights. Now I've done my DNA test. It actually says to me, if I do heavy weights, you will put on fat, right? So I now know that actually I've got a couple of my clients with that particular gene, and that's very true. If they do really intense weights, they will put on fat. And I don't even have to do much to actually keep muscle on, but you know, I have to be really careful. So anyway, I did hammer throwing, training a lot, getting ready for the Olympics, and then I ruptured my disc. I was doing all this weight. I had, on the leg press, I had every weight you could have, and my coach sitting on top, doing all these presses. I was benching 80 kilos, and I was deadlifting 100 kilos at that time, right? Pretty impressive, hey, Danny? Now I couldn't what happened? Now I couldn't even, like, bench maybe 10 kilos, 20 kilos, like, just totally different. But I ruptured my disc in my back, right? So I had a weak point, and then many years later, I took up cycling. Actually, my husband was an Olympic cycling coach, and I took up cycling, and I lost 30 kilos like that. So I went from like a power sport to an endurance sport and just dropped that. And my body type is more pita kapha, so you have to move a kapha, right? Otherwise they don't lose the weight, right? Doesn't matter what they say, calories not enough, they need to do something, and they need to do variety. So so I remember about, I think it was must have been 4 or 5 years ago, I had some severe pain in my back. Anyone had back pain before? Okay, you know the back pain that you actually can't get up? Like you have to do this, or when you're rolling over, you're like I'm gonna die, and no one cares about you because they can't see that you're actually in a lot of pain because you can't see back pain. You can't see that, and it's really hard pain to handle, right? And I'm not for drugs and all that sort of stuff, and I was working very early in my life. When I was a very new practitioner, I'd studied remedial therapy, so I'd worked with all the Olympic teams, and some of you might know the Lions and the State of Origin teams in Australia. So I did a lot of that sort of work. So I worked with like the best top physios in Australia, and I was involved with them. So I went to see them to treat me, and I had all the best colleagues working on me. And I said, Jo, there's nothing we can do. We don't know why this is not recovering. We'll give you an epidural cortisone injection into your spine. I said, I don't think so. It's like jumping over the Story Bridge, like in Brisbane, or jumping over London Bridge maybe. I won't be doing that. And so anyway, I said to my team, practitioners are the worst, by the way, at doing programs because I think they know everything. So I said to my team, don't listen to me, make me do the program properly, 100%, right? And so I did a full-blown detox, like a 7-day, 10-day program that we had in the practice. And I went through the whole process, the food, the herbs, the treatment, and all that sort of stuff. Day 4, day 5, I had already 60% reduction in pain. Day 7, day 8, it was up to 70, getting to 80. By day 10, by day 14, no pain at all. All completely had gone. That's what happened. The toxins had localized in a weak area of my body. So by doing the detox, you digest the toxins in the stomach, it starts digesting the toxins in the system, and then it starts pulling the toxins out and reducing the inflammation, right? Because what is inflammation? It's toxins, right? So it's toxins, and disease is what? Toxins, right? So if you don't get rid of the toxins, then actually things don't move, right? Stage 5, what is that?
How far down is death?
7. Stage 5 is what?
Disease.
Disease. This is when you go to the doctor. You haven't been good up until this point anyway, but you go to the doctor and he says, guess what? You've got high cholesterol, you've got blood pressure, you've got eczema, you've got psoriasis, you've got asthma, you've got whatever, diabetes, blah, blah, blah. Now they can give it a name, they can give it a drug. I can now give you something, I am now useful. Because this is what I was trained to do. I wasn't trained to actually deal with the problem. I will just give you something to what?
Cover it.
Damp the symptom, right? So we talk about that, you're going around in the figure 8, feel good, feel bad, but you're just damping the symptom. That's all you're doing. What's stage 6? What's the last one? Well, second last one, just damping the last one. What's the last one? Chronic. So chronicity, so when things become chronic, they become like autoimmune disease, cancer. Why have we got a massive increase in autoimmune condition? Because we have so much chronicity that's not dealt with from so much toxicity. We have the body turning on itself and attacking our good cells. And that's happening so rapidly now today. I don't know how many cases, out of 10 patients, most of them will have 8 of them some autoimmune condition now. It's rampant, it's ridiculous. And to put them into remission, like you can never cure cancer and autoimmune. They will only be classed as remission, which means that I don't have that problem showing up the signs. So you have to always take care of them because the body has been put at a lot of risk, right?
I thought you could address it through making sure you deal with the cancer stem cells as well as the
You
rest.
definitely can, right? But they're still classed, even doctors will be testing to keep them in remission, right? Because there is a weak area that has quite attacked the good cells, right? So the immune system is now tailored to work a completely different way, right? So it's not to say it's like bad in the sense that the person is bad. It's just that they have, like for example, my autoimmune cases, I'll say you have to take this herb and this herb for the rest of your life because you have to keep it under control, right? So that therefore you don't go back down into the symptoms of getting all those things again. Does that make sense? Yeah? So this is what we call the stages of disease, and I'll just quickly go through it because I think I'm running out of time now. Stages of disease, we've actually, Roger and I created as the health spectrum. So who here's done the health spectrum test? Okay, some of you. By the way, this is a free test. You can keep doing it over and over and over again. I remember Denny asking me this question, Joe, that's not fair. I have diabetes type 1, I have an autoimmune condition, I'm never going to get out of the red zone. That's not fair.
Infrared zone.
Sorry, infrared. Like I said to Denny, you may not ever get out of it in the sense of that you have an autoimmune condition, but you can move up the spectrum by not having any other things going on, right? Unfortunately, type 1 diabetes doesn't have a cure, right? But at some point it will. They actually say in our lifetime, right? So, and we're not stupid. I've got a patient of mine who's got high blood pressure, right? I made her take medication because there is a point that sometimes you have to do both. Right? Her blood pressure was 193 over 110. Like, I would rather her take medication than have a stroke, right? So I'd rather be managing her off medication than managing through a stroke, right? So please make sure, like, it's not about just, you've got to be sensible at the same time and make sure you have a very good physician. So the different stages of disease will actually show up, and by doing the health spectrum, you can actually find out where you are. And our plan is to move you up into good health and above, right? Good health is living accordingly to your body type, right? And going above that is actually when you are moving into like mindfulness prism, we call it, right? It's just where you're meditating, you're in good health, you've got work-life balance, you're dynamically expressing yourself, and all those types of things, right? So we had article done in Brisbane First magazine, which talked about the 9 levels of peak performance. Right, and actually taking up the spectrum, because you can't perform at your peak if you're actually down in red level, right? There'll be something pulling you back from that. And so then we linked it into where are you on the 9 levels, good health, working through accumulation, aggravation, spreading, localizing disease. But in your report, when you do this test, you actually get all this information in your report. And this one you can do over and over and over again, no problems. So just in closing, some of the things that we do to get people out of this disease process is we put them through a detoxification. And when you detoxify, you actually move people up the spectrum because you're actually cleaning out the toxins from the deeper level, right? So different things you can do. Detox, by the way, detox program is awesome, but you can also detox daily. You can just stop eating if you're not hungry. So there's just little things. You can go for an exercise and sweat. So you're detoxifying. So there's lots of things that you can do just simply as well. We had Alison, she basically came to me, she turned her life around in detox. She had a heart condition, she's got all these different things. Alison's story is beautiful. She's really burnt out and really ready to give up. And she pretty much turned it around by actually just getting this sorted, right? We haven't got time to see that. Something that we do on our Facebook, Denny's been on our detox. There's been a couple on detox. Penny's done detox and Denny's done detox. The community is amazing. The community actually runs the program, I'd say now, because they get behind you and they make sure that you're doing the right thing. And I was talking before about our detox program. One of the girls, actually Alison Alison was saying, guys, I'm not in good shape, I'm about to go to this party and I'm going to eat everything off the table. Right? And the whole community just got behind me and said, you can do this, it's okay. So one of her things that she kept on doing, crazy figure 8, is she went for food for her stress management. Right, so the party was a good excuse to say, well, everyone else is doing it, so I'm going to do it too. But she really wanted to shift her identity, right, which was actually making those changes about that. One of the other things we do is Health Dynamics Retreat. That's a 7-day program. So I know in Entrepreneur Social you guys talk about where were you when you first started, where were you now. We've developed over the last 12 months, 18 months, a few different programs. One is our online detoxification program, and it interacts with the phone. And then we have our detox program where we actually take people away to Bali and pretty much put them back together over 7 days, take you out of your environment. This is quite a dynamic program where you do yoga and you have like food, the meditation. Food is designed specifically for you, and there's a big meditation program as well. And people really, really rejuvenate. And Mike, this is who I was talking about. Mike was saying that he wanted to stop being lazy bones. He's the one who particularly turned that around on the detox. And he had no idea why he was coming to the retreat. And at the end he's like, when I first said I was coming, I had no idea what I was doing. But he just, you know, this person now is yoga and doing all these different things. This is them in one of the meditation programs we go. And Karen, actually, she was on the retreat as well. Karen came, and we're talking about pain. She had pain riddled through her whole entire body. She was in a couple of really serious accidents. You know Karen's story. She took half an hour to 40 minutes to just get moving to walk in the morning to take her first few steps. She was definitely set up for arthritis and probably even a wheelchair. She came on the program and she was like, I don't know what to do. And we worked with her with the 28-day detox. We detoxified her, then she came to the retreat. She has now, she said to me, I messaged her the other day, how's everything going? She's got a tiny little pain in her hip, and that is it. It's all gone, right? And she just lives like and breathes this whole process now because she shifted her identity, right? Which she said, I don't want that anymore, what I need to do, and went through that process. And now she's managing it daily. She doesn't even need us, she's just doing it herself, right? So one thing I'll leave you with is when you look back on your life and say, I wish I had, or I'm glad I did. So instead of saying, you know, I want to, just make the decision and say, what little thing could you do? Especially when you get your report, what is the one thing that you could do consistently that would actually make a change, right? Because it doesn't have to be a huge, big thing. It could just be, I'm not going to eat when I'm not hungry. Or I'm going to drink hot water, or I'm going to start giving up the coffee, or whatever it is. Just choose one thing, because that will make a difference. And I love this next quote, which is from Gandhi. It's health that is the real wealth. Because you've got all the golds and silver, that doesn't really mean anything, right? And Roger talks about wealth dynamics and being in flow, right? And actually flow, or being in flow with your body and being in flow with your mind, that actually gives you the ultimate, which is your health, which will give you the best part of your life, which is your wealth.
That was one of my questions actually in terms of disease. Do you think disease are caused just by what we eat, physical or emotions?
Both, yeah. Definitely both. Emotional, because the reason I went to study neurostrategies, which is this type of work, is that I had so many clients who would get to a certain point, but then they would actually derail it, right? So there can be some emotional stuff going on, which actually you've got to solve alongside of it. Because if you're physically looking after somebody, physiology is one part. I'll never work with someone's psychology until the physiology is better. Because the psychology will never stick if the physiology is not changing, because they'll run the same pattern again. So I always work both mind and body. So some people don't even know that their mind is causing the problem. I actually did just a little story. I did a debrief a couple of days ago, and this guy is in Switzerland, and he's in aviation, like flies all the time and does all this stuff, and so he's very intelligent, right? And I said, so how are you with your health? Oh, I've got no problems, everything is all good. And I said, well, what specifically do you want to get out of this? oh, I just want to know a little bit more about myself and da da da. And so we ran out of time because I was running late with another client beforehand. And I said, hey, listen, I want to give you the value. So can we make the time tomorrow, same time, and let's do the catch up then. This will be good for you to know, right? Because sometimes men, particularly, sorry guys, they are not in touch with their body. They're like, oh yeah, everything is all good. So I said, hey, in the meantime, for the time tomorrow, have a look through your report and just highlight some things and any questions that you have, right? And so he came back and there was a laundry list of all his problems. And I was like, but you had nothing. Because I didn't realize I got eczema, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this. And I was like, so he was so busy because he's traveling, he's got so much going on, he actually put himself on the back burner. So it's actually more working with him of getting in touch with his body that actually will make the huge difference of changing that. So yeah. Great, well thank you.
Thank you, Joe, for this amazing value that you gave us. You made us all ashamed of our habits. No, and we're gonna have a little. We've gone on quite a little bit more than we expected. We're gonna have a little question and answer session. But obviously, we might not be able to go through all the questions. But Joe is going to stay behind. So after we finish, we're still going to have a networking session. And feel free to approach Joe or any one of us if we can help. Please make sure that if you want the health dynamics to take the health dynamic test, make sure you give your email address to Didi, so that we can send you the token to take the test. Just so that to start the questions, I was thinking we're all very busy in our daily life, especially living in London. What's the one thing that we could do tomorrow to improve today? What's the one thing
Today.
today?
Sleep. Well, sleep is really important, but it depends on the different body types, right? So if you're more Vata, making sure you stop and just settle and ground yourself and breathe, right? If you're more Pitta, right, just maybe cool yourself down, right? And take things that are not so spicy and hot and agitating. And if you're more Kapha, Kapha is actually about not eating when you're not hungry and actually moving more, right? So it is what could you do today. If it's about overall, it'll be about one really good tip I can give you is mindful eating. Actually, how many of you watching your phones and on the computer and eating at the same time or talking or whatever, actually stop, eat, and just be with your food. Because you'll be surprised actually how much nutrients you get out of that more when you're actually present. So that's probably a good one.
Okay. We're going to take some questions. Mark, start taking first question.
I think you may have hinted at this earlier when you have the work dynamics profile and your stuff, in that when you're talking to other people about their health or issue generally, obviously work dynamics is useful for that.
Yes.
But if they have another model of medicine, is that the best way to approach it, or?
Yeah, I mean, you don't, like, you mean what sort of model, like Chinese medicine or?
No, even conventional
Western medicine. Western medicine, though, I treat a lot of doctors, right?
I'm not surprised, because most of them, as you say, they...
And I treat them really, I have a lot of doctors that send me a lot of patients, so I treat more the ones that are a bit more open-minded. But it's really easy to explain body types, right? Because people get it. It's like I saw some of you nodding when I was saying this and this. Yeah, that's me, or that's my husband, or that's my wife, or that's my co-worker, or this is this. Because it's really easy, it's tangible to get, right? Don't talk Vata, Pitta, Kapha.
No.
Just talk like the three different, just stay on the basics. Did you know that there's 3 different body types? We all do things differently, you know, and actually that affects our health, right? So.
Just supplementary with going down your hierarchy, your
the stages of disease, yeah.
At which point would you say the FDA has been responsible for the worst part of it?
Oh, should that be your answer, or FDA is
I
like
would say
your legal
it's the
body?
biggest contribution, because they control a huge amount in America, where some alternative practitioners have had a really hard time.
Yeah.
But that has obviously had an influence on Europe.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, when you're looking at it's quite a good question actually. When you're looking at the stages of disease, right? I'll go back here. Stages of disease when we should intervene should actually be the spreading stage. Because if you don't intervene at the spreading stage, disease is coming.
Yeah.
Right? So, but none of them are thinking that way. Right? They're thinking, okay, we need the pharmaceutical company to be earning a lot of money. I actually believe they don't want a lot of cures for cancer because it actually gives too much money to the pharmaceutical company, right? There's all these things going on. So at the spreading stage, that's actually when the work should be done. Naturopaths are working with that. But even in Australia, naturopaths now, private health is not funding them. So who's running the private health companies now? Pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's how it's all going. Right. So it actually takes an effort for you to actually put some time into it. So you actually have to make the choice because your government is not going to help you to do that. You have to take responsibility for yourself. Yeah. Good question.
A question from Danny.
So mine's more of a practical question. I know you're in London for a couple of days.
Yeah.
How does are you offering private sessions? Are you doing consultations? How does one get involved?
So yeah, the reason I'm actually in London, and Luca and I were discussing while I'm here, because I'm seeing a lot of my patients while I'm here. So if you do want to have a session, I do have a slide that Luca asked me to put on at the bottom, which is just bookwithjoe.com. So I actually that's simple. I do pulse reading. So we didn't do a demonstration today, but when you actually feel somebody's pulse, you actually find, this is how Luca and I met 2 years ago. He was at like, you need to tell me what's going on. And I said this and this.
I did the same thing.
Yeah. And so, but it gets really clear, gets past everything because your pulse has 360 different pulse combinations. And from that combination, we're able to see what is actually causing the problem because it actually may be a certain ailment that's causing hormonal or a vata element or something. And you're actually going down a whole wrong pathway. And that pathway is actually not giving you the result. So actually becoming more specific. Pulse is the best way to do it. Questions you can, takes you a lot longer. Right? I have patients of mine, I saw a patient just recently in Brisbane, and I took his pulse and he's been diagnosed with like a lot of sleep conditions and a lot of problems, and I felt his pulse and I said, do you have like a virus in your pulse? Your system, your immune system is collapsing and your neutrophils are actually way too high, causing a problem. He went to the doctor, he did all the blood tests came back with that. I said, I can't believe it, you just said that, or there's parasite in the pulse or whatever, or cancer you can feel in the pulse, there's all these different things. So pulse is amazing, so if you get a chance, I'm here for just a few days, or find a good pulse reader is the other option as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Danny.
Okay, we've got time for a couple more questions.
Yes, I would like to ask you the detox, 28 days detox program. Is it specific for everyone?
Yes.
How does it work?
Yes. The 28-day detox, our next one actually is the 18th of February coming up. We're going to have a bonus week because we need to prep you a little bit, and then the official date is the 25th. It is an online program, so we have clients everywhere, all around the world. It is a group program, but you also get assigned a doctor. One of my doctors get assigned to you, and so they check in with you, make sure everything is going to plan. And there's certain herbs that you will take. So the herbs are very specific for detoxification. You don't know how many people have rung up our herbal supplier and said, can I get those detoxification herbs? And they're like, no, that's for the detox program, because they're very strong, right? So we have to monitor and make sure you're taking the doses, and we adjust the doses or add different things. And then we will say, oh, that person needs to go a bit longer, a bit shorter. That there's 3 phases. So there's a phase that we start cleansing out all of the toxins, right? And then we go deeper into the system. We go into the spreading. So we start going in and getting to where it's all getting local. We had a patient just recently who done the last 28-day program. I didn't even meet her. She just came on the program from her friend. She's got psoriatic arthritis, which is psoriasis and arthritis mixed. And she was on methotrexate, which is a cancer drug. Right, and her C-reactive protein, which is an inflammatory marker, was at 12. Methotrexate took it down to 11. After 28-day detox, it took it down to 6. She was 1 point away from being in remission from actually cleaning up her whole body, because the inflammation was not actually going to be reduced by a drug, it was stuck in her system. So then we tell you what foods to eat and things like that, then we put you into maintenance phase. so that you actually learn how to keep that going and make the difference. So huge changes happen. I love the detox program.
And are there any tests to be done?
Sometimes we'll have we get you to do different pathology and make sure that everything is like where we want it to be, and then we monitor you and things like that as well. So.
Okay, last question, Peter?
Just wondered what your view on coffee was. Is it good, bad?
Coffee! I saw some people out there. This is decaf, by the way. Listen, I was interviewed one time about what's your thought on coffee, right? This was what, Channel 10 News. And then it got put onto the news and it's gone, what do you think of coffee? And I said, yeah, coffee is lethal, but you'd have to have at least 100 cups, right? On the news, guess what they put? What does Joe from used to say about coffee? Coffee is lethal, so they cut. You have to be really careful, right? Coffee is not good for some body types. So in your DNA, we do a test as well if we do a DNA test, which means you're either a slow or fast caffeine metabolizer. The fast can get away with the caffeine, the slow can't. My husband's got slow caffeine metabolizer, I have fast caffeine metabolizer. I don't drink coffee, he's a cyclist, he drinks coffee. So he has all these nervous system things or whatever. I said, well, we'll stop drinking coffee, right? Coffee is drying to your system, so it actually causes a lot of vata aggravation in the gut. So once we start taking it out, we give you a special herbal tea, which is called coriander, cumin and fennel, CCFT, cumin, coriander, fennel. And actually when you start taking it, you actually hate coffee because we change your taste buds. And you're like, oh my God, Joe told me I was going to hate coffee, but I didn't believe her. I can't stand the stuff, right? So it's about changing what's going on in your body. But I have some patients who just love it. Oh, can I have one a week? I just love the smell. Dennis, I just love it. And you know what? If your system can digest that one a week, right, then why not, right? We're not making you monks or whatever. It's not the best, but the fact is, you know, Roger actually, he was drinking a lot of coffee, and that was one of the things I started getting him off. He did the detox and he went off coffee. He had so much energy, it went through the roof. He was taking green tea.
He doesn't have any coffee now.
Hasn't gone back on it, has he? How many was he having?
On the event side, he was having, it was specific times. We used to have, he needs a double espresso at this time, at this time, at this time,
just
and
to keep the energy.
He doesn't have any coffee now.
And so, you know, people think that they need coffee for energy, but what are you doing? Yeah, and affecting your adrenals.
I would paraphrase your wine comment in terms of if you're going to drink coffee, drink good coffee.
Drink the good coffee.
And one of the choices I've made for years is I hate espresso coffee.
Yes.
It always
Nespresso.
It always seems to taste bitter and burnt.
Yeah.
Whereas I like filter coffee at a particular time.
Yeah. Yeah, the fine. And by the way, there's an antidote for everything in Ayurveda. Cardamom pod is like an antidote for coffee because it actually calms the nervous system down. So the Turkish coffee uses cardamom. There's a reason for that, right?
I'm going to start drinking.
With the cardamom pod in there. At least do that. Start with that.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, Carol,
one more question.
It's related to here. Can you do your 28-day detox while you're still doing it in a normal day?
Yes, you can.
So that's the fear, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stop everything else to do it.
Danny, can you do 28 detox while you're doing your normal job?
The answer is yes.
Yeah, and like depending on your toxicity, some patients I've said you're not ready for the detox, right? I said let's do this, this, and this, and then you can do the next detox. Because like there was one patient recently last September, and I want to. You're not ready. No, I'm going to do it. And like 1 week she was a mess, and I said don't do it. And she's lost 20 kilos now by just doing simple. And then she'll be ready for it to do.
But even everything, Glenn, everything is recorded as well. So even if you can't make the specific call, like, you know, the times for me, you know, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and working with Roger, you know, in Singapore, like that's when all of our Singapore calls are. So I made 2 out of the 4 calls, but there was also the one-to-one call with the doctor, which was scheduled at my time, and I could listen to the recording of the calls. And there's also the activity and stuff that's having a Facebook group, so it's absolutely fitting in with my time. So I lost 10 kgs by the way on the detox. I did put 3 kgs back on, which is my fault, not Joe's fault, but yeah.
I told Denny to do maintenance afterwards, but he's doing well. So yeah, you can definitely do doing your work time.
Come on, the last question, and then we can.
Then we
if
can
you have
network.
more questions, we
Yeah.
can do it. No, we'll take this last question. Then if you still have questions for Joe, we're still going to be around. So
probably best to book a time then, and then
sure.
then you get all your questions answered.
Yeah. What do you think of oil pulling in the morning?
Oil pulling is on the detox. So we
Yes,
actually
yes.
do oil pulling in that we do stage 1 and stage 2 of detox preparation. So oil pulling actually pulls out a lot of the mucus blockages that we call this tapaka kapha, which is all above the head, right? So you'll be surprised, it actually starts pulling all these toxins from the stomach and your head becomes nice and clear and your teeth become nice and white.
Is that coconut oil?
You can do coconut or sesame oil. Coconut, some people like. Here it's a bit harder because it's colder. In Australia it's liquid. We use sesame oil as well. And also depending on your body type, it's better for pitters to use the coconut and it's for vatas and kaphas to move more the sesame because it's more warmer and coconut oil is more cooling. So depending on your body type. So yeah.
I would say thank you very much, Joe.
No problem.
I would say now we're going to have just a session to get to know each other, so that and we can all also, if you want to stay, we can go upstairs and have a unhealthy drink, or you can have a healthy one if you prefer. But for the future, if you have enjoyed tonight, Vimla is going to organise more of these kind of health-related and wellness events. We're going to organise an entrepreneur social the first Wednesday of every month. So if you are interested in coming to either of these events, please get in touch with us directly over a cup of something or a glass of something before you go home. And if you're interested in taking it further with Joe, please also contact Joe while she's still here when you can, and either book a spot with her or exchange details. Okay? Thank you very much.
And thank you all for making the effort to really shift what you really want.
Thanks for coming all the way from Australia.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.